This is a Tracking the Tropics update with the certified most accurate weather team at First Coast News.
Hello everyone, we have an update on Milton. This is the 11 o'clock advisory, Saturday night, 11 p.m. And the newest update shows that Milton now has sustained winds of 45 miles an hour. It will continue to strengthen. You can see on your screen too, it's moving to the north-northeast at 5 miles an hour. Here's a look at the cone, and really nothing much has changed, except for, unfortunately, it is expected to be an even stronger Category 3 at landfall. So if you look at the cone here, it shows you those sustained winds of 120 miles an hour when it is a Category 3 out over the Gulf. So the trend is worse and worse. It is getting stronger and stronger. It's expected to be stronger and stronger as it starts to approach the coast. You see right there on the Gulf Coast of Florida, it shows you a Category 2. Well, that's just because, of course, once it moves inland, it starts to weaken a bit. So it's still, the forecast is still for it to make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane and then drop down into a Category 2 as it moves over the central part of Florida, likely passing over places like the Orlando metro area and then eventually perhaps the Daytona Beach area. But again, remember the cone, that means that the center of the hurricane could be anywhere inside that cone. So although the center of the cone and the most likely track looks like it might be around the Tampa Bay area, we cannot rule out the possibility of it moving farther north, places like, unfortunately, perhaps Perry, or south, places as far south as the Everglades. That's where the center of the storm could go, so impacts can extend beyond the center of that cone, although the First Coast is included in the center of that cone. Here's a look at our latest model runs, and again, most of those models trying to cluster near the Tampa Bay area, some of them south, some of them north. So again, that's why the cone is so wide. But there's a look at your model runs right now, and then it shows it crossing over the peninsula of Florida and exiting into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, with this system out ahead of it, we're going to have this nor'easter developing. So that's a persistent onshore flow, a persistent northeasterly wind that will continue to build over the next several days. And that's what's creating the possibility of minor flooding at times of high tide already, especially along the St. Johns River. But it's just going to get worse as Milton approaches and as we get to Wednesday. So we'll go from a minor flooding possibility to a moderate flooding possibility for the St. Johns River Basin for coastal areas by Wednesday. Please, if you live in a flood-prone area, watch this closely. We're going to be concerned about surge. We're going to be concerned about those onshore winds and tidal flooding. So here's the takeaways for Milton and the First Coast impacts. Strong northeasterly winds, gusts up to 60 miles an hour, and so that could cause some power outages. It could damage trees that have already been weakened by Helene. We'll have the possibility of storm surge and tidal flooding. And on top of that, just heavy rain. We already had some rain tonight, more rain Sunday. Possibility does exist on Monday, though I think Sunday's has more rain than Monday. And then the rain starts to ramp back up again as we head towards Wednesday. So with all of that rain collecting, we could just get some street flooding out there too that we'll have to watch. Something else I want to mention again and send home is that flooding possibility, the coastal flooding, minor flooding right now of the St. Johns River Basin, but it could be moderate by the middle of the week. And then we have a lot of trees and structures weakened by Helene already. And so with the persistent breezy conditions and then strong gusts by Wednesday, we could have even more damage. So you have to prepare for this storm, and preparations need to be done by Monday. By Tuesday, we start to see those conditions go downhill, winds start to pick up. So please finish all preparations by Monday. That would be securing those objects that are at risk of blowing away or extra damage, like tree limbs, anything that's at risk of rain and flooding. And that's also coastal flooding and tidal flooding as well. So there's a look at your radar right now. We're actually going to move over to the 11 o'clock newscast. I do have to run, but please tune in for the 11 o'clock newscast. If you're in the Jacksonville viewing area, we will be here throughout the storm, keeping you updated.